Yes.
When the recapitalization was done in 2009, there was,
Several.
there were several that were dropped,
Yes.
some were acquired, some had
Yes.
to go.
Yes.
So should recapitalization be considered now? Because when you have, well, less is more. Sometimes that's what people say, less is better. So if we have less or, yes, little or less insurance companies with a huge amount of resources to deploy to the crowd or to deploy into the population and sell off your products as quickly as possible, will it be better? So what I'm asking now is, should recapitalization be considered?
Well, I think there's capacity. There are a lot of regulation right now about capital flight, especially with reinsurance. And what you find with a lot of insurance companies now is they co-insure. If you look at the capital base of the entire industry, there's public capacity to handle a lot of these risks. But what I think is, going back to your initial question of implementation, is over the next 3 years, I believe with the fact that the coordinating minister, of course, they're going to elections now. I don't know if she'll still be there, but I'm sure someone else will come in. And the fact that the presidency is taking a lot of notice with this industry and is becoming a national concern, it excites the industry. We believe that if the country doesn't see it as a buffer, pooling of risk to be able to assist in adverse changes, we will not grow. We really need the regulation and enforcement to work in tandem with the industry. You need a lot of incentives, both taxes that require a lot of shareholders and investors to invest in the insurance industry. You need to make it a lot more attractive for university graduates to be able to want to join an insurance industry. I'm sure in university you never found anybody else say, I want to join an insurance industry. It's just not. But the truth is, there's a lot of things you could do in insurance. There's actuarial science, there's mathematics, there's statistics, there's technology, there's underwriting.
But
There's
still the trust issue and the
do.
awareness, which is the reason why not a lot of people want to venture into the industry.
That's why we believe that this four-point plan, if executed meticulously, right now, since December last year, the industry, the stakeholders have had several meetings already in January. They've taken it on board. Several big players. If you look at the industry, about 5 players probably control a huge percentage of the market. What you want those 5 players to do is to hold on to the entire industry with the regulator as well as the presidency to ensure that a lot of the initiatives are being implemented.
Well, let's talk about initiatives. I know that's what I said we're going to come back to.
Yeah.
Some time ago, Nigeria's first online insurance comparison platform, myAutoGenius.com, was launched. Now, what was the reason, I guess, for the launch was to ensure that we had less fake policies, because that's basically what you've been. I've noticed that in most of the conversation we've had in the last couple of minutes. But has that really changed? That's myAutoGenius.com. Has it really changed the way people buy insurance?
Okay. Has it changed? I think it's picking up. It's relatively new. It's about 3-4 months old. We are also on the platform. In most advanced markets, aggregators are a normal, you can call it a necessary evil if you like.
Okay.
In those markets, for example, they're known to drive down the profits of the industry because obviously the customer gets the better deal with prices going down. But in Nigeria, I look at it differently, and that was the reason that we actually went on the platform. Going back to my point of access, increasing the access of insurance. If the demographics show that 18 to 40, and a huge percentage of them are using the internet over the phone, aggregators like AutoGenius are absolutely necessary. Now, will it transform the industry? I believe there'll be other aggregators that will come up. We've actually been approached by several. But we find that with agents, with the online channels, even we have ours, we have a mobile channel as well. AutoGenius and so on represent the entire plethora of different channels that the customer can go through. The benefit for the customer, of course, is that at some point, there will be competition for price. Now, you could say that is negative for the industry in terms of potential industry earnings, right? But I look at it this way. If we can get customers on the platform, increase the number of policy count, you can cross-sell other products, right? So for us, we look at it as an acquisition strategy, which we believe Autogenius has been able to achieve to an extent. It's just been 3 months. I can't give you the specific numbers we've done so far, but it's increasing every day. So far, it's only motto. Okay. But for authenticity of policies, there was the NIA collaboration with the industry where they developed the NID database, which basically allows the customer to be able to check if the policy is authentic. You can go to www.asknid.org, or you can send an SMS to 33125. Use a policy number, star, plus a vehicle plate number. Very easy. And you get a prompt back that tells you if your policy is actually genuine or not.
But looking at, for instance, you just mentioned car. We also have other kind of policies that you should be able to check on Autogenius.com. Could you just tell us some of them?
Okay. Well, with other policies, Autogenius is only selling motor for now.
Okay, motor.
Motor for now. But they plan to increase to maybe travels and different other simple retail products that don't require a lot of underwriting or have been pre-order written. And in cases of NID, it's also supposed to have different policies. But for now, it's just the motor.
So let's talk about other efforts to get support from international agencies. Because definitely the domestic capacity really isn't very strong for some certain risks that have to be underwritten. So yes, you need to get support from international agencies. Has the industry seen so much of that lately?
Actually, the industry, what we're finding is a lot of foreign players coming in and actually taking significant or majority stakes in companies in Nigeria. But in terms of capacity, the industry or the regulators believe that the capital base of the industry as a whole has sufficient capacity at some level to handle the underwriting if they co-insure with each other, rather than reinsuring it or sending it out of the country. In terms of support from international agencies, like maybe like the IFC, for example, they provide either equity or debt. In our case, it's a convertible debt with an option to convert in 3 years. And the global insurance strategy is to deepen the penetration of insurance, right, in really underserved or underserved markets. The strategy is to partner with long-term or have long-term relationships with industry players to be able to expand that developmental objective.
So that could also help translate to, because there was a report by Fast Market Research that the insurance sector could grow to an average annual rate of 7.5% in the next 3 years. So it's realistic to actually feel that way.
Oh yeah, I agree. We actually anticipate that it should grow above 12% per year. Because there's some, for example, in the annuity space, there's going to be a lot of growth there, especially on back of the pension reform, as well as the PENCOM Act. And what we find is a lot of retirees are beginning to take annuity. Now, that's a typical type of product that I would say that the customer needs. Now, you get it when you retire, you can buy a policy for about 10 years, and if you're still alive after that, you still get paid for as long as you're alive. So those type of policies naturally sell. The key thing is just about the right rate that the customer gets. If you're looking at penetration and you're looking at growth, if the statistics are right that 70% of Nigerians are poor, that means there's a lot of growth in the micro sector. So if there are no products or channels accessible to the micro sector, we can't see the penetration going above 1%.
Which is the reason why operators really need to start to focus on that retail strategy that they've been talking about. So expectations going forward, what are your expectations for the industry? You've been looking at the short to medium term,
yes,
but we want to look at the very, very short term before we get to the medium term.
Well, the expectations, for risk of repeating myself, this year I would say, or over the next 3 years, the key thing is for us to drive the policy or the gross written premium from where it is today to about 1 trillion. If you can achieve even above that in 3 years, that'll be wonderful. I believe the industry is poised to make that change, increasing the number of policyholders from 3 to 10. I think those key indices are particularly key to ensure that the industry survives over the next 10 to 20 years.
Not just survives, takes a very big leap to take its place.
Yeah, I mean, similar to the changes that have happened in pensions. I mean, if you look at that, it's now 5% of GDP. 4.3 trillion. We hope life insurance and general insurance can get to that point at some point.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Fajemiruku, for coming on the program. It's been an interesting conversation. I hope to have this conversation again in the very shortest time for us to talk about how much of the retail, this strategy in terms of retail strategy has actually, been achieved. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I've been having a conversation with an operator in the insurance industry and the Chief Operating Officer for ICO Insurance PLC, Tunde Fajemiruku, and we've been looking at issues, challenges, and opportunities in the insurance sector. Of course, it's been an interesting conversation. Thank you also for contributing, even though we couldn't take most of those contributions on the program. This sector definitely is poised to get to greater heights, and it's one sector that you shouldn't take your eye off in the very near to medium term. But that's the program for today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Harriet Agbini. Bye-bye.